Welcome everybody to a new analysis of Tradomics. My name is Dario, and in this video we'll show you the main US indexes by applying our methodology T-cycle analysis. The methodology is a statistical way to predict the future direction of the price and is a quantitative method given that we can gauge the time, and this is based on the different duration of the cycles. If you want to know more about our methodology, you can click on the pop-up banner menu on the right-hand side, Introduction to the T-cycle analysis. Especially this methodology has the advantage over the technical analysis of the classical approach, that we can gauge time at every point in time in the chart. And given that we have a quantitative method, we can measure how long the price can follow a certain pathway, whether to the upside or to the downside. So as for the standard approach of my channel, on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, I give an update regarding mainly the US stocks and also some European ones and the indexes. So as the procedure, the first week of each month, I give an update regarding the US indexes that is important to better understand the stocks that I will analyze in the next videos. So regarding the Nasdaq 100, in the last analysis, I was saying that from this low, we could have had actually further push to the upside, something that has happened, but the analysis was fairly right, because I was expecting from this low to have a push to the upside, but after an impulse to the to the upside, we went down, and with this low we went lower this low, and from this low basically we started a new cycle. So here I was expecting a T+2, because we were close to the maximum duration for a T+2. If we gauge actually this cycle, we had 43 bars. 43 bars is close to the maximum duration of a T+2. And in this case, the cycle was a downward cycle connecting one low to another low. So I was expecting the closing of the cycle and a new one, but we have had another weekly cycle. And if we gauge the total duration from this low here that was done on the 31st of October until the last candle before the absolute low, we had 48 bars. 48 bars, it's basically a T+3. So we have to take into consideration that 48 bars, which is a T+3 minimum duration, has been done with, and here you can see the segmentation, a first T+2 that from the low on the 31st of October ended here on the with 27 bars, 9 of December 2024, and here we have had not just a T but a T+1. So this T+1 was with a duration of 21 bars. So basically we have a T+2 and a T+1. Okay, so um, 48 bars is not really the standard duration, I would say, but this is what happened. Therefore, I can update the chart. T+2 plus T+1 gives up T+3. And after the closing of a T+3, we can have a new T+3 or T+4. Because if we gauge here the total duration, we have more than enough time to have the closing of a T+4, 110 bars. The T+4 is encompassed between 94 and 168 days. At the moment, considering the amount of candle above this low, we have for the time being a T+2, but of course it might be even more than a T+2. The wider the cycle, the longer the rally to the upside, at least to develop its shape. So fairly correct, because at the end we came over the moving average 50 and the moving average 21, but I was expecting an impulse from this low and not from this one. Anyway, And now we have updated the chart. What are the important considerations to make? That of course we have to look at the upward cycles. So upward cycles are cycles that are connecting top with other tops, like in this case, it's the other flip of the coin compared to the downward cycles. And here we have an upward cycle that has lasted for the time being 25 bars. So from this top here, we have already the condition, all the condition by swing and time to have a new T plus 2 in development. At the moment, we have a total duration of 35 bars. So here we have definitely the condition to have a T plus 2 upward cycle, but we also have to expect eventually another closing of a cycle and then a T plus 2, because we still have time until 44 bars to have a T plus 2, right? And at the moment we have 34. So this is definitely the beginning of a T plus 2, but I would not exclude the possibility to continue to the upside and then have a further retracement to begin another T plus 2, because as said, the time can be up to 44 days. In any case, what we can say is that we can segment the cycles in subcycles. So from this top here until here, we have 10 bars out of 11, and the weekly cycle cannot be so with this top cannot be closed here. So um, within the next week, what we can foresee is that after 10 bars or 11 bars, so we have at the moment 10 bars, so we might have still another day to the upside, and then from the beginning of next week we expect a retracement. So we have to be really careful next week, because Monday, eventually Monday, if they want to do a weekly hybrid cycle up to 12 days, but from Monday at most onwards, we might expect more downtrend. Okay, this downtrend will be important to gauge, because if the downtrend will start with more than 1, 2, or 3 candles to the red candles, then the T plus 2 might not be segmented here, but can be segmented next week. And if the T plus 2 will start next week, we have to reach at least this level with the moving average 50 period. In case we will have just a short retracement, then we can proceed back to the upside, because this T plus 5 yearly cycle, as you can see here, is already positive. Therefore, we have to return back to the stop at least and proceed to the upside. In order to do that, we have time until 189 bars at least. So we have time to continue to go to all-time highs until the 10th of April 2025 at least, but we can continue to update the all-time highs definitely further. Okay, um, for the for the upward cycle, more on the shorter term, be careful, because as said, next week we might expect a retracement, and based on the grade of this retracement, then we will say whether we will understand whether this is a T plus 2 or the T plus 2 needs to begin next week. Okay, so if we're gonna have a top and, for example, 1 or 2 candles red, and then the price will return back to the absolute tops, then we will have just a weekly cycle. Okay, weekly cycle is weekly upward cycle. I put it also here eventually, so we have to expect the other 2 candles. And if the weekly cycle, so if we will have a weekly cycle a couple of days, and then the price will return back to the tops after 3 or 4 days, then we will have at least another 2 days to proceed to the upside. Okay, if not, then we can also close a first downward cycle like this downward cycle here that at this particular point in time has reached a duration of 11 days. So we might also close a T plus one, or if the downtrend will last the entire next week, then we will have time even to close a T plus two, because a T plus two needs at least 24 bars. Here we have 18, so we would need 6 days more to the downtrend or a steady state situation in which the cycle can be completed. Okay, so without complicating things too much, be careful next week, especially from Monday onwards, at least a couple of days of retracement. And if we're gonna get more, then the first target will be moving average 21 and 50. If this retracement will last just 1 or 2 days and then the price will return back to the top, this is the target at $22,133. For the Standard and Poor's, we have a similar situation. I keep saying since several months that the Standard and Poor's is stronger compared to Nasdaq, and actually this top here that was done on the 24th of January 2025 is higher compared to this top. So here we have a more stronger uptrend. Also in this case, I was expecting a push to the upside from this low here, but um, um, on Standard & Poor's 500, we have had 46 bars. So from this low to this low, 46 bar. 46 bar is a T plus 2 hybrid. So hybrid cycle are definitely they compare, well, they happen seldom compared to the others. So from this um, low here to here, we have 13 bars. So here we have a T plus 1. So I can update the chart accordingly. And from this low here to here, we had 16 bars. So basically, we have had, technically speaking, on the Standard & Poor's 500, a cycle that was divided in 3 times a bi-weekly cycle. So first T plus 1, a second T plus 1, and a third T plus 1. Okay, so this was the T plus 3 um, or the T plus 2H that was divided in 3 cycle, bi-weekly cycle. And now we have a new cycle that is completely detached from this structure. Okay, so now we have to understand the grade of this cycle. Since we have how many bars over that low? We have already 18 bars over this low. Here for sure we have a T plus 2. So I can even remove the question mark. And we have actually time also to close what a T plus 4, because if we gauge the total duration as for the Nasdaq, here we have 110 bars. So potentially from this low here, we have not just a T plus 2, but a T plus 3, or even a T plus 4, because also this top is higher compared to this one. So therefore here we have already some clue that the market is giving us in terms of how to segment the chart. From this low here, potentially we have even a T plus 1. Okay, we have 14 bars. And as for the Nasdaq, if we look at the upward cycles, here we have 31 bars. So definitely this top is a T plus 2. Okay, so here we have a T plus 2. And if we gauge the total duration from that top, here we have 10 bars. Okay, so here we have another day, or eventually 2 days, until Monday to push to the upside, and then we have to expect a retracement. Okay, we might have also, as said for Nasdaq, time to close a T+2 here and start a retracement. But on Standard & Poor's, this T+2 was developed after the top that we have on the Nasdaq after 30 days. So here we have more probability that this top is effectively the beginning of the T+2. So if the top is going to reach this, so if the price during the next week, not Monday, Tuesday, but at least Thursday or Friday eventually, will start to go over the top at 6,128, then we will have a situation in which another cycle will turn into a positive one, and therefore the remaining time to develop the cycle will be just to the upside. Okay, so this is a situation that is not there yet. I'm just forecasting the scenario for the next week, the entire next week. Okay, so on Monday, one possibility out of 12 to proceed to the upside, so definitely less than 10%, and then the rest possibility to have retracement. We have to monitor the retracement over time. If the price return back to the absolute top, that will be done either either on Monday or potentially also this Friday, then situation in which a cycle will be positive and therefore continuation to the upside. Okay, in any case, we have a strong uptrend for the Standard & Poor's 500, so unless let's say short-term downtrend, then the rally is healthy and can continue to the upside. I have updated already the chart for the Dow Jones here. So I was expecting a push to the upside, something that has happened. But here we have, in this case, a T+2 hybrid cycle because the duration was 46 days. Okay. And this T+2 hybrid cycle has been segmented as the first T cycle plus T+2 cycle. Okay, 1 week cycle plus 1 month cycle. Okay, downward cycle. So the difference compared to the other indexes is that on the Dow Jones we have the beginning potentially of the T+2 here on this candle, because if we gauge the total duration, we have 38 days. So here we do not have time to do what? To eventually have another cycle of this kind. Or uh, we could have time, but it's really unlikely that we're gonna have it after. No, here we have 43 bus. No, we don't have time. So considering that we don't have time, and this potentially is the beginning of a T+2, for the next week, we cannot actually reach this top immediately, because we need at least 7 days below this top in order to develop the cycle. This means that we cannot go back to that top before Monday. Okay, so Monday we need to stay lower this top if this is a T+2, but eventually we might stay more days lower this low. Generally, when a T+2 turns into a positive one, it does it after 12, 13 days. So 7 days generally, uh, even for a T+2, is not enough. We have the sufficient condition, but it's not enough. So even on the Dow Jones for the next week, beginning of next week, we expect more downtrend. Okay, especially because we need, as I said, some days below the stop. So for all the indexes, at least Nasdaq, Standard & Poor's, and Dow Jones next week, especially the beginning of next week, will be more red than green. And then we have to see from Wednesday and Thursday onwards whether we will return back to the absolute tops or we will continue to have a retracement. In this case, on the Dow Jones, this cycle here was 14 days, so this low can be considered the beginning of a T+1. If we have a further retracement on the Dow Jones, then we have to monitor closely this low at 43,879. But I would not expect too much retracement, but we will see on the short term how much they're going to retrace. Regarding the target, the first target for beginning of next week is at here, so is at um, 46,619 and 44,485 and eventually 44,350. So these are the three targets for the beginning of next week, as here we have more possibilities to have downtrend rather than uptrend. This is in line with Nasdaq 100 and also Standard & Poor's. So last but not least, let's have a look at Russell 2000. So on the Russell 2000, as for the last analysis, I was wondering whether it was actually the beginning of a T plus two. I was right, because we have had an additional cycle here, and this cycle took, let's say, how many days? Took 13 days, so this was a T plus one. So even in this case, we add a T plus one here, and if we gauge the total duration from this low until the candle of Friday 10th of January, here we have 48 bars, which is a T plus 3. Okay, so a T plus 3 that was segmented in first T plus 1, then from here to here we add 22 bars. First T plus 1, second T plus 1, third T plus 1. Okay, so here we have the segmentation as showed, and now from this low here we have for sure the beginning of a T plus 2. But as I said, also for the other indexes we might have the beginning of something more than a T plus 2, considering that we have spent already 18 days over that low, and from that low to this candle, we have the closing of a T plus 1. Okay, we can update the chart. Now, regarding the Russell 2000, we have a different situation compared to Standard & Poor's, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones, because from this top here to this top here, we have added 26 bars. But from this top here to this top here, so from the top of the 3rd of January until yesterday's top, 6th of February, we have 21 bars. So here I have to say that a T plus 2 plus a T plus 1 can also make a T plus 3. So you have to be aware that on Russell we have already the minimum and sufficient condition to eventually start a T plus 3. If we gauge actually the total duration, here we have 48 days. So the minimum duration required to start a T plus 3. If we start a T plus 3, then we have to go lower this low, so lower to 2,229, and potentially the target is, well, one of the targets is to fill this gap up. 49 days though is a minimum duration. 48 days is a minimum duration. So when we are close to the minimum maximum duration, the probability to have that cycle are particularly low compared to the medium duration. Okay, so you have to be aware that a situation of this kind can happen, but the probability are really low at the moment. Okay, actually you have a 1 probability out of 41 at the moment. Okay, so really low, but there is that thing. What can happen? So in terms of probability, what can happen is that here we have a T plus 1. So we might have some days of retracement and then return back to this top at least. So next week will be as well like the others. Again, we might expect a little bit of a downtrend, but in this case here, given that this T plus 2 is positive, we will return back to the absolute tops. So I'm not expecting a harsh downtrend, but a return back to either this area or this area. Actually, if we drag a Fibonacci retracement, um, the target I would expect end of next week or in the next 2 weeks, because we still have time to have a T plus 2, is at 2,350 as the first target, and the second target is 2,402. Okay, so that is the situation I have on Russell. We have to keep into consideration that we have a T plus 5 that is basically positive. So then we can continue to the uptrend until minimum to maximum duration. Since we have spent from the candle of 28th of March 2024, 216 days, we can expect to return back to this top here um, by, if we consider a median duration, by beginning of April. If we consider a maximum duration, then we go to summertime. So we have time to return back to this top by considering a median duration beginning of or mid of April until 339 days, which means then we can have time until the 6th of August 2025. Okay, so that's the situation over the midterm, sorry, on Russell. But over the short term, be aware that we might have a retracement and then a return back to the tops. One probability out of 41 that we start at T plus 3, and if we start at T plus 3, then we go lower this low. One probability from next week, but as time goes by, then the probability to start that retracement will improve over time. So you are aware of this thing. I hope this video has given you, as usual, a lot of insights. If you want to get notified as soon as possible regarding our analysis, subscribe to the channel, and I wish you a very nice day. Thanks for watching, and see you to the next episode.